Song of Myself, written by Walt Whitman, performed by May Tai. 1. I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I love and invite my soul. I lean and laugh at my ease, observing a spare of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air. Born here or parents, born here from parents, the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old, in perfect health again, hoping to cease not till death. Creeds and schools in abeyance, retiring back a while, suffice at what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad. I permit to speak at every hazard. Nature without check with original energy. 2. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I am in love with it. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. The smoke of my own breath, echoes, ripples, buzz, whispers, love root, silk thread, crouch and vine. My respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, the passing of blood and air through my lungs. The sniff of green leaves and dry leaves, and of the shore and dark color, sea rocks, and of hay in the barn. The sound of the blessed words of my voice loses to the eddies of the wind. A few light kisses, a few embraces, a reaching around of arms, the play of shine and shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag. The delight alone, or in the rush or of the street, or along the fields and hillsides. The feeling of health, the full noon trill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you reckoned 1,000 arcs much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of poems? Stop this day and night with me, and you shall process the origin of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the spectres in books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sights and filter them from yourself. 3. I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end, but I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world. Out of the dimness, opposite equals advance, always substance and increase, always sex, always a need of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail. Learn and unlearn feel that it is so. Sure as the most certain sure, plumb in the upright, well entreated, braced in the beams, stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical. I and this mystery here we stand, clear and sweet in my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Lack one lacks, both and the unseen is proven by the sea, till that becomes unseen and receives proofs in its turn, showing the best and dividing it from the worst age vexes age. knowing the perfect fitness and equanimity of things, while they discuss I am silent, and go back and admire myself. Welcome is every organ and attribute of me, and of any man hearty and clean. Not an inch nor a particle of an inch is well, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I see, dance, laugh, sing, as the hugging and loving bedfellow sleeps at my side through the night, and withdraws at the peep of the day with stealthy tread, leaving me baskets, covered with white towels, swelling the house with their plenty. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization, and scream at my eyes that they turn from gazing after and down the road, and forthwith chipper and show me to a cent, exactly the value of one and exactly the value of two, and which is ahead? 4. Trippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect upon me of the early life or ward and city I live in, or the nation. The latest dates, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors, old and new, my dinner, dress, associates, looks, compliments, dues, the real or finance, the indifference of some man or woman I love, the sickness of one of my folks or of myself, or ill doing or loss or lack of money, or depressions or exhalations, battles, the horrors of fratricidal war, the fever of doubtful news, the fitful events. These come to me days and nights and go from me again, but they are not the me myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands assumed, complacent, compassionating, idle, uniterate, looks down in erect, or bends an arm on an impalpable certain rest, looking with side, curved head, curious what will come next, both in out the game and watching the wondering at it. Backward, I see in my own days where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mocking or argument. I witness and wait. I believe in my soul the other I must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass. Loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want, not costume or lecture, not even the best. Only the lull I like, the hum of your valuables. I mind how once we lay such a transparent summer morning, how you settled your head athwart my hips, and gently turned over upon me, and parted the shirt from my bosom bone, and plunged your tongue and my bare stripped heart, and reached till you felt my beard, and reached till you held my feet, swiftly aroused and spread around me, the peace, the knowledge that pass all argument of the earth. And I know that hand of God is the promise of my own, and I know that the Spirit of God is the brother of my own, and that all men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that the kelson of the creation is love, the limitless are leaves, stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in the little wells beneath them, and mousy scabs of worm fence, hipped stones, elder mullein, and pokeweed. 6. A child say, "What is the grass?" fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is, any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of hope, green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of Lord I sended gift and remembered disinterly dropped, bearing the owner's name some way in the corners, that we may see and remark, and say whose. Or I guess the grass is itself a child, and the produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folks as among white. Nocturnal congressman cough. I give them the same. I receive them the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves. Tenderly will I use your curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breast of young men. It may be if I had known them I would have loved them. It may be you are from the old people, or from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are, the mother's laps. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless breads of old men, dark to come from under the fans' red roofs of mouth. Oh, I perceive after all so many uttering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about old men and mothers and the offsprings taken soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death, and if ever there was it led forward life, and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and seize the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapsed, and to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier. Seven. Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her it is just as lucky to die, and I know it. I pass death with the dying and birth with the new-washed babe, and am not contained between my hat and boots, and pursue manifold objects, no two alike and every one good, the earth good and the stars good, and their adjuncts all good. I am not an earth nor an adjunct of an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and faithfulness as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. Every kind for itself and its own. For me, mine male and female. For me, those that have been boys and that love women. For me, the man that is proud and feels how it stings to be slighted. For me, the sweetheart and the old maid. For the me, mothers and the mothers of mothers. For me, lips that have smiled, eyes that have shed tears. For me, children and the beggars of children. Undraped, you are not guilty to me, nor stale nor discarded. I see through the broadcloth and gain hand whether or no, and am around notitious, accusatives, tireless and cannot shaken away. 8. The little one sleeps in its cradle. I lift and gauze and look a long time, and silently brush away flies with my hand. The youngster and the red-faced girl turn aside up the bushy hill. I peerily view them from the top. The suicide sprawls on the bloody floor of the bedroom. I witness the corpse, with its dappled hair. I note where the pistol has fallen. The bulb of the pave, tires of craft, slope of boot soles, talk of the promenaders, the heavy omnibus, the driver with his interrogated thumb, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, the snow slides, clanking shouted jokes, pelts of snowballs, the horish for popular favorite, the flurry of rose mops, the flap of the curtain little, a sick man inside borne to the hospital, the meeting of enemies, the sudden oath, the blows and falls, the excited crowd, the policeman with his star quickly working his passage to the center of the crowd. The impassive stones that receive and return so many echoes, what groans of overfed, of half-starved who fall sun-track or in feet, what exclamation of women taken suddenly who hurry home and give birth to babes, what living and buried speech is always vibrating here, what house restrained by decorum, arrest of criminals, slights, adulteries, offers made acceptance, rejection with convex lips. I mind them, or the show or renaissance of them. I come, and I depart. The big doors of the country barn stand open and ready. The dried grass of the harvest time loads the slowly drawn wagon. The clear light plays on the brown, gray, and green intergent, and armfuls are packed to the sagging mouth. I am there, I help, I came straight a stop of the load. I felt its soft jolt. One leg reclined on the other. I jumped from the crossbeams and seized the clover of entomophy, and rolled head over heels and tangled my hair full of weeps. 10. Alone far in the wilds and mountains I hunt, wondering amazed at my own lightness and glee. In the late afternoon, choosing a safe spot to pass the light, kindling a fire, and broiling the fresh-killed them. Falling asleep on the gathered leaves with my dog and gun by my side. The Yankee Clipper is under her sky sails. She cuts the sparkle and scud. My eyes settle and land. I bend at her prow or shout joyously from the deck. The boatmen and calm diggers arose early and stopped for me. I tucked my trouser ends and my boots and went and had a good time. You should have been with us that day round the chowder kettle. I saw the marriage of the trapper in the open air in the far west. The bride was a red girl. Her father and his friends sat near cross-legged and dumbly smoking. They had moccasins to their feet and large thick bandits hanging from their shoulders. On a bank lounged the trapper. He was dressed mostly in skin. His luxuriant beard and curls protected his neck. He held his bride by the hand. She had long eyelashes. Her head was bare, her curls, straight locks, descended upon her voluminous limbs and reached to her feet. The runaway slave came to my house and stopped outside. I heard his motions cracking the twigs of the woodpile. Through the swung half-door of the kitchen, I saw him limpsy and weak, and went where he sat on a long log, and led him in and assured him, and brought water and filled a tub for his wetted body and bruised feet. And I gave him a room and entered from my own, and gave him some coarse, clean clothes. I remember perfectly well his revolving eyes and his awkwardness. I remember putting plasters on the galls of his neck and ankles. He stayed with me a week before he was recuperated and passed north. I had him sit next me at table, my firelog lean in the corner. 28 young men bathed by the shore, 28 young men and all of so friendly. 28 years of womanly life and all so lonesome. She owns the fine house by the rise of the bank. She hides handsome and richly dressed after the blinds of the window. Which of the young men does she like the best? The homeliest of them is beautiful to her. Where are you off to, lady? For I see you. You splash in the water there, you stay stuck till you're in your room. Dancing and laughing alone, the bench came the 29th battler. The rest did not see her, but she saw them and loved them. The beards of the young men glistened with wet. It rained from their long hair. Little stream passed over their bodies. An unseen hand also passed over their bodies. It descended trembling from their temples and ribs. The young men flawed on their backs, their white bellies bulged to the sun. They do not act who sees fast to them. They do not know who puffs and declines with dependence and bending arc. They do nothing whom they souse with spray. The butcher boy puts off his killing clothes, or sharpen his knife at the stall in the market. I loiter enjoying his repartee and his shuffle and breakdown. Blacksmiths with grimed and hairy chests, environ and enveil. Each has main sledge. They are all out. There is a great heat in the fire. From the cinder-strewn threshold I follow their movement. The lean sheer of their waist plays even with their massive arms. Overhand the hammers swing overhand so slow, overhand so short. I do not hasten. Each man hits in his place. 13. The Negro holds firmly the reins of his 4 horses. The block swags underneath on its tied-over chain. The Negro that drives the long dray of the stone yard, steady and tall, and stands poised on one leg on the string piece. His blue shirt exposes his ample neck and breast and loosens over his hip-band. His glance is calm and commanding. He tosses the slouch of his hat away from his forehead. The sun falls on his crispy hair and mustache, falls on the black of his polished and perfect limbs. I behold the picturesque giant and love him, and I do not stop there. I go with the team also. In me the carousel of life wherever moving backward as well as forwards longing. To Nature's aside the junior, banning not a person or object missing, absorbing all to myself and for this song. Oxen that rattle the yoke and chain, or halt in the leafy shade, what is that you express in your eyes? It seems to me more than all the print I have read in my life. My thread scarces the wood drake and wood dog on my distance and day-long ramble. They rise together. They slowly circle around. I believe in those winged purposes, and knowledge, and yellow, red, white playing within me. And consider green and violet and the tufted crown intentional, and do not call the tortoise unworthy because she is not something else. And they jay in the woods never study the escapement, yet trills pretty well to me, and the look of the bay mare shames silliness out of me. The wild gander leads his flock through the cool night. Yam honk, he says, and sounded down to me like an invitation. The bird may suppose it's meaningless, but I listen close, find its purpose and place back there toward the western sky. The sharp hoof moves of the north, the cat on the house sill, and Chickadee, the paradox. The litter of the groundlings show as they tug at her teat, the brood of the turkey hen and Chih-Yu and her half-self spread wings. I see in them and myself the same old law. The press of my foods, the teat to the earth spring in 100 affections. They scorn the best I can do to relate them. I am in mar of growing outdoors, of men that live among cattle or taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and steerers of sheep and the wielders of axes and mauls, and the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them week in and week out. What is commonest, cheapest, nearest, easiest is me going in for my chances, spending for vast returns, adorning myself to bestow myself on the first that will take me, not asking the sky to come down to my goodwill, scattering it freely forever. The pure contralto sings in the organ loft. The carpenter dresses his playing, the tone of his score-plan, whistles its while sending lips. The married and unmarried children ride home to their Thanksgiving dinner. The pilot seizes the kingpin. He heaves down with a strong arm. The maids stand braced in the whaleboat. Lance and harpoon are ready. The duck shooter walks by silent and cautious stretches. The deacons are ordained with crossed hands at the altar. The spinning girl retreats and advances to the hum of the big wheel. The farmer stops by the bars as he walks on the first day, laughs and looks at the oats and rye. The lunatic is carried at last to the asylum of confirmed case. He will never sleep any more as he did in the cot in his mother's bedroom. The drawer printer with grey head and gaunt jaws works at his case. He turns his quid of tobacco while his eyes blur with manuscript. The malformed limbs are tied to the surgeon table. What is removed drops horribly in a pail. A quadroon girl is sold at the auction stand. A dunker nods by the bar-room stove. The mechanist rolls up his sleeves. The policeman travels his beat, and gatekeeper marks who pass. The young fellow drives the express wagon. I love him, though I do not know him. The half-breed straps on his light boots to compete in the race. The western turkey shooting draws old and young. Some lean on their rifles. Some sit on logs. Out from the crowd steps the marksman, takes his position, levels his piece. The groups of newly come immigrants cover the wharf of leaf as the woolly pads haul in the sugar field. The overseer views them from his saddle. The ball calls in the ballroom. The gentlemen run for their partners. The dancers bawl to each other. The youth lies awake in the center roof garret and harks to the musical rain. The woman set traps on the creek that helps fill the horn. The squirrel wrapped in her yellow hem cloth is offering mocans and bead bags for sale. The connoisseur peers along the exhibition gallery with half-shut eyes, bent sideways. As the deckhands make fast the steamboat, the plank is thrown for the shore-going passengers. The young sister holds out the skein while the elder sister winds it in a ball and stops now and then for the knots. The 1-year wife is recovering and happy, having a week ago born her first child. The clean-haired Yankee girl works with her sewing machine or in the factory or mill. The paving man leans on his two-handed rammer. The reporter's lead flies swiftly over the notebook. The sign painter is lettering with blue and gold. The canal boy strolls on the tow path. The bookkeeper counts at his desk. The shoemaker waxes his thread. The conductor beats time for the band, and all the performers follow him. The child is baptized. The convert is making his first professions. The regatta is spread on the bay. The race is begun. How the white sails sparkle! The drover watching his drove sings out to them that would stray. The peddler sweats with his pack on his back. The purchaser higgling about the odd cent. The bride unrumples her white dress. The minute hand of the clock moves slowly. The opium eater reclines with rigid head and just opened lips. The prostitute draggles her swallow. Her bonnet bops on her tipsy and pimpled neck. The crowd laugh at her blackguard alls. The men jeer and wink to each other. Miserable, I do not laugh at your alls nor jeer you. The president, holding a cabinet council, is surrounded by the great secretaries. On the pizza walk 3 matrons, stately and friendly with twin arms. The crew of the fish smack pack repeated layers of halibut in the hold. The Missourian crosses the plains, trotting his horse and his cattle. As the fare collector goes through the train, he gives notice by the jingling of loose change. The floormen are laying the floor. The tinners are tiling the roof. The masons are calling for mortar. In single file, each shouldering his hot pass, onward the laborers. Seasons pursuing each other in indescribable crowd is gathered. It is the 4th, 7th month. what soldiers of cannon and small arms, seasons pursuing each other and plugger ploughs. The mower mows, the winter grain falls in the ground. Off on the lakers, the pike fisher watches and waits by the hole in the frozen surface. The stumps stand thick around the clearing, the squatter strikes deep with his axe. Flatboatmen make fast toward dusk, near the cottonwood or pecan trees. Cone seekers go through the regions of the Red River or through those drained by the Tennessee, or through those of the Arkansas. Torches shine in the dark that hangs on the Chattahoochee or Attamaha. Partiacs sit at the supper with sons and grandsons and great-grandsons around them. In walls of adobe, in canvas tents, rest hunters and trappers after their day's sport. The city sleeps and country sleeps. The living sleep for their time, the dead sleep for their time. The old husband sleeps by his wife, and the young husband sleeps by his wife. And these tend inward me, and I tend outward to them, and such as it is to be of these more or less I am. And of these one I weave the song of myself. 16. I am of old and young, of the foolish as much as the wise, regardless of others, ever regardful of others. Maternal as well paternal, a child as well as a man, stuffed with the stuff that is coarse and stuffed with the stuff that is fine. One of the nation of many nations, the smallest the same, the largest the same, the southerner soon as the northerner, a planter nonchalant and hospitable. Drowned by the ocean I leave, the Yankee bound me own way ready for trade. My joint, the limberest joint on earth, and the sternest joint on earth. A Kentuck chain walking the vale of the Elkhorn, and my deer skin leggings, a Louisiana or Georgian. A boatman over lakes or bays or a long coast. A Hoosier bagger buckeyed, at home a Canadian snowshoes, or up in the bush, or with fishermen of Newfoundland. At home in the fleet of ice boats sailing with the rest and tacking. At home on the hills of Vermont, or in the woods of Maine, or the Texan range. Comrade of Californians, comrade of free Northwesterns, loving their big proportion, comrade of breastmen and coalmen, comrade of all who shake hands and welcome to drink and meat. A learner with the simplest, a teacher of the thoughtfulest, a novice beginning yet experience of myriads, of seasons, of every hue and cast and by, of every rank and religion, a farmer, mechanic, artist, gentleman, sailor, quacker, prisoner, fancyman, roadie, lawyer, physician, priest. I resist anything better than my own diversity. Breathe the air, believe plenty after me. And I am not stuck up, and am in my place. The moth and the fish eggs are in their place. The bright suns I see and the dark suns I cannot see are in their place. The palpable is in its place, and the impalpable is in its place. 17. They are really the thoughts of all men and all ages and lands. They are not original with me. If they are not yours as much as mine, they are nothing, or next to nothing. If they are not the riddle and the untying of the riddle, they are nothing. If they are not just as close as they are distant, they are nothing. This is the grass that grows wherever the land is, the water is. This is common air that bathes the globe. 18. With music strong I come with the cornet and my drums. I play not marks for acceptance victors. Only I play marks for conquered and slain persons. Have you heard that it was good to gain the day? I also said it is good to fall. Battles are lost in the same spirit in which they are won. I beat and pound for the dead. I blow through my embouchures, and loudest and gayest for them. Vivas to those who have failed, and to those whose war vessels sank in the sea, and to those themselves who sank in the sea, and to the generals that lost engagement, and all overcome heroes, and the numberless unknown heroes equal to the greatest heroes known. "19. This is the meal equally set. This is the meant for natural hunger. It is for the wicked just the same as the righteous. I make atonement with all. I will not have a single person slighted or left away. The kept woman, sponger, thief are hereby invited. The heavy-lipped slave is invited. The venerary is invited. There shall be no difference between them and the rest. This is the press of a bashful hand. This is the flood and odor of hair. This is the touch of my lips to yours. This is murmur of yearning. This is the far-off depth and height, reflecting my own face. This, the thoughtful merge of myself and the outlet again. Do you guess I have some intricate purpose? Well, I have for the 4th month showers have, and the mica on the side of a rock has. Do you take it I would astonish? Does the daylight astonish? Does the early red star twittering through the woods? Do I astonish more than they? This hour I tell things in confidence. I might not tell everybody, but I will tell you. Who goes there? Hankering 20. Who goes there? Hankering grows mystical, nude. How is it extract strength from the beef I eat? What is a man anyhow? What am I? What are you? All I mark as my own, you shall offset it with your own. Else is where time lost listening to me. I do not snivel the world over. That mounds are vacuums in the ground, but wallow the filth. Whimpering and truckling fold with powders for envelopes. Conformity goes to the 4th removed. I wear my hat as I please indoors or out. Why should I pray? Why should I venerate and be cremonious? Having pried through the strata, analyzed to a hair, consult with doctors and calculated close, I find no sweeter fats than sticks to my bones. In old people I see myself, not more and not one, a barely corn nest, and the good or bad I say for myself I say of them. I know I'm solid and sound. To me, the covering object of the universe perpetually flow. All are written to me, and I must get what the writing means. I know I'm deathless. I know this orbit of mine cannot be swept by carpenter compass. I know I shall not pass like a child Carlos, cut with the burnt stick at night. I know I'm august. I do not trouble my spirit to vindicate itself or be understood. I see that the elementary laws never apologize. I reckon I behave no prouder than the devil I plant my house by. After all, I exist as I am. That is enough. If no other in the world be aware I sit content, and if each and all be aware I sit content. One world is where, and by far the largest to me, and that is myself. And whether I come to my own today, or in 10,000 or 10 million years, I can cheerfully take it now, or with equal cheerfulness I can wait. My foothold is tannin and mortised in granite. I laugh at what you call dissolution, and I know the amplitude of time. I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. The pleasures of heaven are with me, and the pains of hell are with me. The first graft and increases upon myself. The latter translate into a new tongue. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be woman as to be a man. And I say there is nothing greater than the mother of man. I chain the chains of dilation of our pride. We have had ducking the depreciating about enough. I show that size is only development. Have you outstripped the rest? Are you the president? It is a trifle. They will more than arrive they ever won and still pass on. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. I call to the earth and sea have held by the night. Press close bare bosom night, press close mechanic northern night, night of Saul's wings, night of the large few stars, still nodding night, mad naked summer night. Smile, O voluptuous, cool breathed earth, earth of the slumbering and liquid trees, earth of the departed sunset, earth of the mountains misty stopped, earth of the virtuous pour of the full moon just tangled with blue, earth of shine and dark mottling the tide of the river, earth of the limp gray of clouds brighter and clearer for my sake, far swooping elbow earth, rich apple blossom earth, smile for your lover comes. Prodigal, you have given me love, therefore I to give you love. Oh, unspeakable passionate love. You see, I resign myself to you also. I guess what you mean. I before from the beach your crook inviting fingers. I believe you refuse to go back without feeling of me. We must have returned together. I undress. Hurry me out of sight of the land. Caution me, rock me in below it drowse. Dash me with a morrow's wet. I can repay you. Sea of stretch, ground swell, sea breathing growth and convulsive breath. Sea of the brine of life of the onshore of yet always ready grasp. Hollow and cooper of storms, Carpheus and Danity sea. I am integral with you. I too am of one phase of the all phases, part of influx and influx. I extroller of hate and consolation, extroller of aims and those that sleep in others' arms. I am he, attesting sympathy. Shall make my lease of things in the house and skip the house that support them. I am not the poet of goodness only. I do not decline to be poet of wickedness also. What blurt is this about virtue and about vice? Evil propels me, and reform of evil propels me. I stand indifferent. My gate is no fault finder's or rejecter's gate. I moisten the roots of all that has grown. Did you fear some scrofula out of the unflagging pregnancy? Did you guess the celestial laws are yet to be worked over and rectified? I find one side a balance and the antipodal side a balance. Soft doctrine, a steadily held a stable doctrine. Thought and deeds of the present or rouse an early start. This minute that comes to me over the past deletions, there is no better than it and now. What behaved well in the past or behaves well today is not such a wonder. The wonder is always and always how there can be a mean man or an infidel. Endless unfolding of words of ages. And mine, a word of the modern, the world in maze. A world of the faith that never balks. Here, henceforward, it is all the same to me. I accept time absolutely. It alone, it without flaw, it alone rounds the complete all that mystique. Baffling wonder alone completes all. I accept reality and dare not question it. Materialism first and last in building. Hurry for positive science. Hooray for positive science! Long live exact demonstration. Fetch stone crop, mixed with cedar and branches of lilac. This is the lexicography. This is a chemist. This made a grammar of the old courtiers. These mariners put the ship through dangerous unknown seas. This is the geologist. This works with the scalpel, and this is a mathematician. Gentlemen, to you the first honors will always. Your facts are useful, and yet they are not my dwelling. I but enter by them to an area of my dwelling, lest the reminders of prosperities told my words, and more the reminders they lie untold, and of freedom and extrication, and make sure the count of nectars and glidings, and favor men and women fully equipped, and beat the gun of the rowboat, and stop with fugitives and them they plot and conspire. (24) Walt Whitman, A Cosmos of Manhattan the Sun, Turbulent Flashes, Sensual, Eating, Drinking, and Breeding. No sentimentalist, no standard above man and woman or apart from them, nor more modest than immodest. Unscrew the locks from the doors, unscrew the doors themselves from their jambs. Whoever degrades another degrades me, and whatever is done or said returns at last to me. Through me the afflaws surging and surging, through me the current and index. I speak the password primeval. I give the sign of democracy. By God, I will accept nothing which all cannot have their counterpart on the same terms. Through me many long dumb voices, voices of the interminable generation of prisoners and slaves, voices of the diseases and despairing and of leaves and droves, voices of cycles of preparation and of creation, and of the threads that connect the stars and the worms and of the father stuff, and of the rights of them the others are grown upon, of the deformed, travels, flat, foolish, despised, fuck in the air, beetles rolling balls of drum. Through me forbidden voices, voices of sex and lust, voices fell and I removed the veil, voices indecent, by me clarify the transfigured. I do not press my fingers across my mouth. I keep us delicate around the balls and around us the head and heart. Copulation is no more rank to me than death is. I believe in the flesh and the appetites. Seeing, hearing, feeling are miracles, and each part and tack of me is miracle. Divine am I inside and out, and I make holy whatever I touch or am touched from. The scent of these armpits aroma finer than prayer. These had more than crunches, Bibles and all creeds. If I worship one thing more than another, it shall be the spread of my own body, or any part of it. Translucent mold of me, it shall be you. Shaded ledges and rest, it shall be you. Firm masculine clodder, it shall be you. Whatever goes to the tilt of me, it shall be you. You, my rich blood, your milky stream house drippings of my life. Breast that presses against another breast, it shall be you. My brain, it shall be you, occult convulsions, root of washed sweet flag, tremulous pounce knife, nest of guarded duplicate eggs, it shall be you. Mixed tousled hay of head, bread, brawn, it shall be you. Trickling sap of maple fry of many wheat, it shall be you. Sun so generous, it shall be you. Vapors lightning and shedding my face, it shall be you. You sweaty brooks and dews, it shall be you. Winds whose soft, tickling gentles rub against me, it shall be you. Broad muscular fields, branches of live oak, loving longer in my winding paths, it shall be you. Hands I have taken, face I have kissed, mortal I have touched, it shall be you. I dote on myself, there is that of me, and all illusions. Each moment and whatever happened thrills me with joy. I cannot tell how many ankles bend or whence the cause of my vanished wish, nor the cause of the friendship I meet, nor the cause of the friendship I take again. That I walk up my stoop, I pause to consider if it really be a morning glory at me, my window, shafts of me more than this metaphysics of brooks. To behold the daybreak, to little light bathes the immense, and the vanished shadows the air tastes good to my palate, halves of the moving world at innocent gambols slightly rising freshly, scooting obliquely, high and low. Something I cannot see put upward libidinous prongs, seas of bright just juice surface, heaven. By the sky stayed with the daily close of their junction. They have challenged from the east that moment over my head, the mocking taunt. See then whether you shall be master. Dazzling, tremendous, how quick the sunrise would kill me. If I could not now and always send sunrise out of me, we also send it dazzling and tremendous as the sun. We found our own, oh my soul, in the calm and cool of daybreak. My voice goes after what my eyes cannot reach. With the thrill of my tongue, I encompasses worlds and volumes of worlds. Speech is the twin of my vision. It is unequal to measure itself. It provokes me forever. It says sarcastically, Walt, you contain enough. Why don't you let it out then? Come now, I will not be tantalized. You'll conceive much of the articulation. Do you not know, O speech, how the buds beneath you are folded? Waiting in gloom, protected by force, the dirt receding before the prophetical screams. I underline causes to balance them at last. My knowledge, my life part, it keeping tally with the meaning of all things. Happiness, which whoever hears me, that him or her set out in search of this day. My final merit is I refuse you. I refuse putting from me what I really am. Encompass words, but never try to encompass me. I crowd you skillless and best by simply looking toward you. Writing and talk do not prove me. I carry the plenum of proof and envy everything else in my face. With the hush of my lips, I wholly confound the skeptic. Now I will do nothing but listen. 26. Now I will do nothing but listen. I accrue what I hear into this sound to let sounds contribute toward it. I hear bravura of birds, bustle of galling wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks cooking my meals. I hear the sound I love, the sound of the human voice. I hear all sounds running together, combined, fused, or following. Sounds of the city and sounds of the city. Sounds of the day and night, talkative young ones to those that like them, the loud love of work people at their meals, the energy base of disjointed friendship, the faint tones of the sick, the judge with hands tied to the desk, his pallid lips pronouncing a death sentence. The head yaw of Steve drawers, unlanding sheaves of the wharves, the refrain of the auger lifters, the ring of the alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of the ship's turning engines and hose craft with premonitory tinkles. And color lights. The steam whistle, the solid roll of the train, of approaching cars. The slow march played at the head of the association, marching two and two. They go to guard some corpse, the flag tops and drab with black muslin. I hear the violoncello teach the young man hard compliment. I hear the key corner. It glides quickly in through my ears. It shakes mad sweet pain through my belly and breast. I hear the chorus. It is a grand opera. Ah, it indeed is music. This suits me. A tenor large and fresh as the creation fills me. The Arabic flags of his mouth is pouring and filling me full. I hear the train's Boronaro. What work with yours is this? The orchestra wails me wonder and earnest flies. It wrenches such odors from me I did not know I possessed them. It sells me, it decked with bare feet. They are licked by the indolent waves. I am caught by bitter and angry hell. I lost my breath, steeped amid honey morphine. My windpipe chortled in flakes of death. At length, that up again to feel the puzzle of puzzles, and that we call being. To be in any form, what is that? Round and round we go, all of us, and ever come back thither. If nothing lay more developed, the crouching in its college shell we're enough. Mine is no college shell. I have instant conductors all over me whether I pass or stop. They seize every object and lead it harmlessly through me. I merely steer, press, feel with my fingers, and am happy to touch my person. To someone else is about as much as I can stand. 28. Is these then a touch, quivering me to a new identity? Flames in the ether making a rush for my veins. Treacherous tip of me reaching and crowding to help them. My flesh and blood playing out lightning to strike with what is hardly different from myself. On all sides, proven provokers of stiffening my limbs, straining the under of my heart for its withheld behaving licentious toward me, taking no denial, depriving me of the best as for the purpose, unbuttoning my clothes, holding me by the brave waist, diluting my confusion with the calm of the sunlight and pasture fields. Immodestly sliding the fallow senses away, the gripe to swept off with touch and go and grass and the edges of me. A consideration, no regard for my draining friend, for my anger, fetching the rest of the herd. A run to join them a while, then all uniting to stand on the handle of worry me. The centuries, deserts, every other part of me, they have left me helpless to the red Modern. They all come to the headland to witness to and assist against me. I am given up by traitors. I talk widely. I have lost my wheat. I and nobody else am greatest trader, I went myself first to the heaven. My own land carried me there. You villain touch! What are you doing? My breath is tight in his throat. Unclench, unforget, you are too much for me. 29. Blind, loving, wrestling touch, shouted, hearted, struck to touch. Did it make you ache so leaving me? Parting track by arriving, perpetual payment of perpetual loan. Rich showering rain and recompense richer afterward. Sprout take and accumulate stand by the crop prolific and vital landscape projected masculine, full size and golden. All truths wait in those things that neither hasten their own delivery, nor is it they do not need to obstruct forceps of the surgeon. Its insignificance is as big to me as any. What is that or more than a touch? Logic and sermons never convince. The damp of the night dives deeper into my soul. Only what proves itself to every man and woman is so. Only what nobody denies is so. A minute on the drop and the saddle me brand, I believe the skoggiest clouds shall become lovers and lambs. And the companion of comparison is the meat of the man or woman. And the summit of flower there is the feeling they have for each other. And they are to branch boundlessly out of that lesson until it becomes omnific, and until one and all shall delight us, and we them. I believe of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars, and the prime smile is equally perfect, and in a grain of sand, and the egg of the word, and the tree taught its chip over for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the powers of heaven, and the narrowest hinge in my hand puts the scorn of machinery, and the cow crunching with depressed hate suppresses any statue, and the mouse is miracle enough to staggering staggers and fails. I incorporate genus called long-threaded Moses fruits, grants, and succulent roots. And I'm stuck with quadrupes and birds all over, and have distanced what is behind me for good reasons. But call anything back again when I desire it. In vain the speeding of shyness, in vain the plutonic rocks and stand their old heat against the approach. In vain the Macedon retreat beneath its own powder bones. In vain object and stand leagues of the assumed manifold shapes. In vain the ocean settling in hollows and the great monsters lying low. In vain the buzzard houses herself with the sky. In vain the snake slides through the creepers and logs. In vain the elk takes to the inner passes of the woods. In vain the razor-billed oak sails far north the labrador. I follow quickly, I ascend to the nest in the fissure of the cliff. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented, with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respected or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They invent them planning in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Myself moving forward and the now and forever, gathering and storing more always and with velocity, infinite and omniscious, and the like of these among them, not too exclusive toward the reachers of their remembrance, picking out here on one that I love, and now go with him on brotherly terms. A gigantic beauty of installation, fresh and responsive to my careers, head high in the forehead, wide between the ears, limbs glossy and supple, tail dusting the ground, eyes full of sparkling wickedness, ears finely cut, flexibly moving. His nostrils dilate as my heels embrace him. His well-built limbs tremble with pleasure as we race round and return. I but use you a minute, but then I resign you, stallion. Why do I need your paces when I myself outgallop them, even as I stand or sit passing faster than you? Space and time, 33, space and time. Now I see true what I guess when I love on the grass. I guess while I lay alone in my bed, and again as I walk the bench under the paling stars of the morning. I ties and ballads leave me, my elbows rest in sea gaps. I skirt surras, my palms cover continent. I am afoot with my vision. By the city's quadrangular houses, in lock hunts, camping with lumbermen, along the ruts of the trunk line, along the dry gulch and riverbed, weeding my onion patch or hoeing rows of carrots, and sparnips crossing Sovden, trailing in the forest, perplexing gold, jiggling the trees of the new purchase, scratching ankle deep by the hot sand, hauling my boat down the shallow river, where the panther walks to and fro on the limb overhead, where the buck turns furiously at the hunter, where the rattlesnake suns his babbly length on the rock, where the otter is feeding on fish, where the alligator in his tongue of pimples sleeps by the bayou, where the black bear is searching for roots or honey, where the beaver pats the mud with his paddle-shaped tail, over the growing sugar, over the yellow-flowered cotton plant, over the rice in its low moist field, over the shop-pig farmhouse with its scalloped scum and slender shoots from the gutters, over the western persimmon, over the long-leaf corn, over the delicate blue-flowered flax, over the white and brown buckwheat, a hummer and buzzer there with the rest, over the dusky green of the rye as it ripples and shakes in the breeze, scowling mountains, pulling myself cautiously up, holding on by low scrap limbs, walking the path worn in the grass and beat through the leaves of the brush, where the quail is whistling betwixt the woods and the wheat lot, where the bat flies in the 7th-month eve, where the great block drops through the dark. Where the brook puts out of the roots of the old tree and flows in the meadow, where cattle stand and shake away flies with the tremulous shuddering of their heights, where the cheesecloth hangs in the kitchen, where entrons settle the hard slab, where cobwebs fall in festoons from the rafters, where trip hammers crash, where the press is whirling its cylinders, wherever the human heart beats with terrible force under its stripes, where the pear-shaped balloon is floating aloft, floating in myself and looking composedly down, where the lifeguard is drawn on the slip nose, where the heat hatches pale green eggs in the sanded sand, where the she-whale swims with the herd calf and never forsakes it, where the steamship troughs and waves its lone pennants of smoke, where the fin of the ship caught like a black chip out of the water, where the half-burn of brig is riding on unknown current, where shall grow to her sleeping deck, where the dead or corrupting below, where the Death Star flag is borne at the head of the regiment, approaching Manhattan up by the long stirring island, under Nicaragua, the contract falling like a veil over the continent, upon the doorstep, upon the horse block of hardwood outside, upon the race course, or enjoying picnics or jigs or a good game of baseball. At Heat Festival, with blackguard guides, ironical license, bull dancers, drinking laughter, at the cider mill tasting the sweet of the brown mash, sucking the juice through a straw, at April buildings wanting kisses for all the red fruit I find, at Mustard's beach parties, friendly bees husking houses raising, where the mockingbird sounds his delicious chirps, quacks, screams, weeps, where the hayrick stands in the barnyard, where the dry stalks are scattered, where the brood cow waits in the hovel, where the bull advances to do his masculine work, where the stud to the mare, where the cock is training the hen, where the heifers browse, where geese nib their food with short jerks, where sundown shadows lengthen over the limitless and lonesome prayer, where herds of buffalo make a sprawling spread of the squirrel miles far and near, where the hummingbird shimmers, where the neck of the long-leaved swan is curving and winding, where the laughing gull scoots by the shore, where she laughs for her human laugh, where hives ranch on the gray bench in the garden, half hidden by the tough weeds, where the banknecks perch roost in a ring on the ground with their heads out, where borough coaches enter the ridge gates of the cemetery, where winter wolves bark amid wastes of snow and insect trees, where the yellow-crowned heron comes to the edge of the marsh at night and feeds upon smoke crabs, where the splash of swimmers and divers cools the warm noon, where the katydid works her chromatic creed on the Walton tree over the well, through patches of cridons and crunches with silver wire leaves, through the salt leek or orange glade, or under concealed verse, through the gymnasium, through the curtained saloon, through the office or public hall, pleased with the native and pleased with the foreign, pleased with the new and old, pleased with the homely woman as well as the handsome, pleased with the crookedness as she put off her bonnet and talked melodiously, pleased with the tune of the choir of the whitewashed church, pleased with the earnest words of the sweating mythologies preacher, impetuously at the camp meeting. Looking in at the shop windows of Broadway the whole forenoon, flattering wandering the same afternoon, with my face turned up to the clouds, or down a lane, or along the beach. My right and left arms round the shoulders of the two friends, and I in the middle, coming home with the silent and dark-cheeked bush body. Behind me he rides at the drape of the day, far from the settlements, studying the print of animals' feet, or moccasin print. By the cot in the hospital, reaching lemonade to the farish pane. Nay, the coffin crows when all is still, examining with the candle, voyaging to every port to dicker the adventure, arraying with the modern crowd as eager and fickle as any. Hot toward one I hate, ready in the madness to knife him solitarily at midnight. In my backyard, my thoughts gone from me a long while, walking the old hills of Judah, with the beautiful gentle God by my side, speeding through space, speeding through heaven and the stars, speeding at me and 7 satellites and the broad ring, and the diameter of 80,000 miles, breathing with tail matters, growing fireballs, like the rest, carrying the constant child that carries its own full mother in its belly, storming, enjoying, planning, loving, cautioning, backing and filling, appearing and disappearing. I tread day and night such roads. I visit the arcades of shepherds and look at the product, and look at Quindlin's ribbon and look at the Quindlin's queen. I fly those flights of a fluid and swallowing soul. My chorus runs below and soundings of plumets. I help myself to maternal and immaternal. No guard can shut me off, no law prevent me. I anchor my sheep for a little while, only my messengers continually cruise away or bring their returns to me. I go hunting polar furs and the seal, leaping champs with the pike-pointed staff, clinging to topples of brittle and blue. I ascend to the foretruck. I take my place late at night in the crow's nest. We sail the Arctic Sea. It is plenty light enough. Through the clear atmosphere I stretch around on the wonderful beauty. The enormous masses of ice pass me and I pass them. The scenery is plain in all directions. The white-topped mountains show in the distance. I fling out my fancies toward them. We are approaching some great battlefield in which we are soon to be engaged. We pass the colossal outpost of the encampment. We pass with still feet and caution, or we are entering by the strokes some vast and ruined city, the blocks and fallen architectures more than all the living cities of the globe. I am a free companion. I bivouac by invading watchfires. I turn the bridegroom out of bed and stay with the bride myself. I tighten her all night to my thighs and lips. My voice is the wife's voice. The screech by the rail of the stairs. They fetch my man's body up dripping and drunk. I understand the large hearts of heroes, the courage of present times and old times. How the skipper saw the crowded and rudderless wreck of the steamship and death cashing it up and down the storm. How he knuckled tight and gave not back in an inch, and was faithful of days and faithful of nights, and chalk in large letters on the broad, "Be of good cheer, we will not desert you." How he followed with them and tacked with them 3 days and would not give up. How he saved the drifting company at last. How the lank, loose-grown women looked when bolted from the side of their paragraphs. How the silent old-faced infant, and lipstick, and the rimp-lipped unshaven. All is swollen, it tastes good. I like it well, it becomes mine. I am the man, I suffered. I was there. The disdain and calmness of Martis, the mother of gold, condemned for a witch, burned with dry wood, her children gazing on. The haunted slave that flags in the race leans by the fence, blowing covers with sweat. The twins that sing like needles his legs and neck, and murderous backshot and the bullets. All these I feel or am. I am the haunted slave, I wince at the bite of the dogs. How the despair are upon me, crack and again crack the marksman. I clutch the rails of the fence. My gore drives within with the oaths of my skin. I fall on the weeds and stones. The riders spur their unwilling horses whole close, count my dizzy ears and beat me violently over the weak stalks. Agonies are one of my changes of garments. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. My hurt turns livid upon me as I lean on a cane and observe. I am the mashed fireman with breastbone broken. Tumbling walls buried me in their derbies. Heat and smoke I inspired. I heard the yelling shout of my comrades. I heard the distant click of their picks and shovels. They have cleared the beams away, the trendy lift my forth. I lie in the night air in my red shirt. The pervading hush is for my sake. Painless after I lie, exhausted but not so unhappy. White and beautiful are the faces around me, the heaths are bared and of the fire creeps. The kneeling crowd fades with the light of the torches. Distance and death resuscitate. They show us the dial or move as the hands for me. I am the clock myself. I am an old artillerist. I tell my force bombardment. I am there again. Again the lone row of the drummers. Again the attacking cannon mortars. Again to my listening ears the cannon responsive. I take part. I see and hear the whole. The cries, the cruises, the roll, the plaudits of well-aimed shots. The ambulance slowly passing, trailing its red drip. Workmen searching after damages, making indispensable repairs. The fall of grenades through the rain roof, the fan-shaped explosion. The whiz of them, the heads, stone, wood, iron high in the air. Again, rocks the mouth of the dying general. He furiously waves with his hands. He gaps through the clock mine, not me mind the entrenchment. Now I tell what I knew in Texas 33. Now I tell what I knew in Texas in my early youth. I tell not the fall of Alamo. Not one escaped to tell the fall of Alamo, the 150 and don't be yet at Alamo. 'Tis the tale of the murder in the cold blood of 412 young men. Retreating, they had formed a hollow square with their baggage for breastwork. 900 lives out of the surrounding enemies, 9 times their number was the price they took in advance. Their colonel was wounded and their ammunition gone. They treated for an honorable capitulation, received writing the seal, gave up their arms and marked back prisoners of war. They were the glory of the race of rangers, matched as with horse, rivaling son supper courtship. large, turbulent, generous, handsome, proud and affectionate, bearded, sunburned, dressed in the free costume of hunters, not a single one over 30 years of age. The second Thursday morning, they were brought out in squads and massacred. It was beautiful early summer. The work commenced about 5 o'clock and was over by 8. None obeyed the command to kneel. Some made a mad and helpless rush. Some stood stark and straight. A few fell at once, shot in the temple or heart, believing in dead lay together. The maimed and the mangled dog in the dirt. Newcomers saw them there. Some half attempted to crawl away. These were dispatched with bayonets and battered with the blunt of muskets. A young not 17 years old seized his assailant till 2 more came to release him. Their 3 were all torn and covered with the boy's blood. At 11 o'clock began the burning of the bodies. That is the tale of the murder of the 412 young men. 35. Would you hear of an old-time sea fight? Would you learn who won by the light of the moon and stars? Listen to the yarn, as my grandmother's father and the sailor told it to me. Our foe was no skulk in his sheep, I tell you, said he. His was the surely English pluck, and there is no tougher or turner, and never was, and never will be. Along the lower eve, and he came hardly ranking us. We closed with him, the yards entangled, the common touch. My captain lashes fast with his own hands. We had received some 18-pound shots under the water on our lower gun deck. 2 large pieces had burst at the first fire, killing all around and blowing up overhead. Fighting at sundown, fighting at dark, 10 o'clock at night. The full moon well up our leagues under grain, and 5 feet of water reported. The master-at-arms, losing these prisoners confined in the after-hold to give them a chance for themselves. The transit from the magazine is now stopped by the sentinels. They see so many strange faces, they do not know whom to trust. Our frigate takes fire. The other asks if we demand quarter, if our colors are struck and the fighting done. Now I left content, for I hear the voice of my little captain. We have not struck, he composedly cries. We have just begun our part of the fighting. Only 3 guns are in use. One is directed by the captain himself against the enemy's mainmast. 2 well served with grape and canister silence his musketry and clear his desk. The tops alone second the fire of this little battery, especially the Manta. They hold out bravely during the whole of the action. Not a moment ceased. The leads stand fast on the pumps, the fire ate toward the powder magazine. One of the pumps has been shot away. It is generally thought we are sinking. Serene stands the little captain. There is not hurry. His voice is neither high nor low. His eyes give more light to us than our battle lanterns. Toward 12 there is in the beams of the moon they surrender to us. 36. Stretched and still lies in midnight. 2 great holes motionless on the breast of the darkness. Our vessel riddled and slowly sinking. Preparations to pass to the one we have conquered. The captain on the quarter deck coldly giving his orders through a countenance white as a sheet. Near by the corpse of the child that served in the cabin, the dead face of the old salt with long white hair and carefully curled whiskers. The flank spite of all that can be done flickering aloft and below. The husky voices of the 2 or 3 officers yet fit for duty, formed as stacks of bodies and lancells, dabs of the flash upon the mast and spares, cut of the cord, dangling the rigging, slight shock of the soothe of waves, black and impassive guns, litter of powder, parcels, strong scent. A few large stars overhead, silent and mournful shining, delicate sniffs of sea breeze, smells of the saggy grass and fields by the shore, death messages given in a charge to survivors. The heat of the surgeon knives, the guarding teeth of his saw, Wee's clock, washing of the falling blood, short wild scream, and long jaw, tempering groan. These irretrievable.